Hey, you guys ever hear of a lure making company called RAPALA? Hey there, outdoor YouTubers. It's Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. And, you know, my sons and I, we went out, we got a couple walleyes here, and I was just getting set to fillet them up with my RAPALA fillet knives. And, of course, I think most of you know that RAPALA makes an excellent fillet knife. But RAPALA is even more famous for making lures, right? They're like the biggest lure making company in the history of the world, right? And I guess it all started back in Finland by this Lauri Rapala. And he started carving out these balsa wood lures. That's where this original floating Rapala all started, over in Finland. And he was the story goes, he was a commercial fisherman, and he started carving out these balsa wood lures. And the deal was, I guess he would catch more fish on these lures that he was making than his actual commercial set lines. And he showed his sons how to carve the lures, and of course, you know, the rest is history, right? It spawned into the biggest lure making company in the history of the world. They make all sorts of them now, you know, these X-Wraps, you know, Husky Jerks, you know, any of you guys that have fished, you know, diving Husky Jerks, Trolls 2, any of you guys that fish, you've used Rapalas, right? Extremely popular. A couple months ago, I actually met a gentleman from Finland. His name's Pertti, and Pertti was over in this country helping to commission a power plant. And, you know, I got to talking to him, and I was like, hey, Pertti, does everybody that fishes over in Finland, do like they all use Rapalas, you know? Or is that kind of cliche? You know, like, kind of like everybody in Australia drinks Foster's Lager or something like that, right? And Pertti's like, oh, no, Rapala, very, very popular in Finland. In fact, we have a saying, you know, you go out and maybe you drink too much and your stomach hurts, and we say, oh, my stomach feels like it's got a Rapala in it. And, you know, a couple things I took from that story. First of all, that's kind of funny, right? That is a serious stomach ache if you feel like you got a Rapala in your stomach. You know, and that's one of the reasons I wore this shirt, because it kind of, you know, our friend Cowboy Larry here, he looks like he's got a Rapala in his stomach because he drank too much Cowboy Larry spiced rum, you know. But anyways, I thought that was a funny saying, and you know, I could see us using that saying over here in the States a little bit too, right? Like, if you're out and maybe somebody eats one of those whole 12-pack boxes of Taco Bell tacos, you know, and you'd be like, oh, I ate that whole 12-pack of tacos. Feels like I got a Rapala in my stomach. You know, something like that. I think that's kind of funny. But, you know, another thing I took from that story is that over here in the States, I believe most of us have been mispronouncing Rapala. It's not Rapala. That's how I always pronounced it. It's, according to Pertti, it's Rapala. And, you know, I've heard guys, you know, like me pronounce it Rapala. I've also heard Rapala. A lot of guys pronounce it Rapala. But according to Pertti, it's Rapala. So, I think going forward, I'm going to try to pronounce it correctly, you know. If that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, that's probably what we should try to do. You know, hey, my last name's Knetter, right? The K is not silent. So I know what it's like to go through life with everybody mispronouncing your last name. So anyways, yeah. So I'm gonna try to refer to Rapalas as correctly as Rapalas, and I think the tricky one will be these X-Wraps. You know, really to pronounce this correctly, you'd have to call these X-Wraps. X-Wraps. I got a pike on an X-Wrap. So, I don't know. I'm going to try anyways. Try to remember to pronounce it Rapala. And, you know, another thing we should try to remember is to hunt, fish, laugh, repeat. This is Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. Hey, thanks for watching and God bless.